the first paragraph, he is saying all mental activity moves from a yes to a no, from a positive and to a negative. I'll finish the whole summary and then we can briefly discuss it. There is not a single thing that cannot be affirmed or confirmed or contradicted. Everything that one person can confirm, the other will contradict. Okay? Both. This is the world of the duality. That's why this is possible. Man has even denied the existence and reality to himself. Even I am not real. Okay? What is that? That's a Buddhistic philosophy. Only the soul is real. You, yourself, your body, mind, life, absolutely unreal. There is nothing to it. God and cosmos. Okay? You can deny God also. That's a materialist. And the cosmos also you can deny. That's a Mayavadi. Okay? All these things are possible. Yet, he also affirms reality to all of these things. Okay? He says, yes, the world is real, God is real, even I am real, I have a soul. So all these things can be denied and also confirmed. To everything that he can think of, man can doubt, deny, or affirm. He can either deny or doubt and affirm. Doubting is in the middle, denying is saying no, it does not exist, and affirm, yes, it exists. The ascetic is affirming only God exists. The materialist is saying only matter exists. Someone who is not very sure, he can have a doubt. Okay. All his knowledge, all man's knowledge starts from a stage which he considers real and moves to the next where he finds the same to be unreal. Okay? In the beginning, the physical world is real to us. But when we get the spiritual experience of the self, we start seeing that the physical world is not as real as I thought it to be. Okay? Or at least questionable. Because it is not that the world becomes absolutely an illusion. Sometimes it becomes a semi-illusion. Okay? You can see it only as I said, either only images. It's only a photograph, not the real thing. Okay? This is because he starts his journey from the bottom, from the inconscious. Okay? That's what Srinath is saying. Okay? That's what he said in the first part. Now we can go to the next. In other words, the dualities are there and everything can be questioned. So, now, three of you are there, so someone.
I'm reading, Rankada.
Okay, do that. Yeah.
At the outset, man lives in his physical mind, which perceives the actual, the physical, the objective, and accepts it as fact, and this fact as self-evident truth beyond question. Whatever is not actual, not physical, not objective, it regards as unreal or unrealized, only to be accepted as entirely real when it has succeeded becoming actual, becoming a physical fact, becoming objective. Its own being true, it regards as an objective fact warranted to be real by its existence in a visible and sensible body. All other subjective beings and things it accepts on the same evidence in so far as they can become objects of our external consciousness or acceptable to that part of the reason which builds upon the data supplied by that consciousness and relies upon them as one solid basis of knowledge. Physical science is a vast extension of this mentality. It corrects the errors of the sense and pushes beyond the first limitations of the sense mind by discovering means of bringing facts and objects not feasible via corporeal organs to the field of objectivity. But it has the same standard of reality, the objective, the physical actuality. Its test of the real is possibility of verification by positive reason and objective evidence.
Yeah. Okay. So he is describing the physical mind. When he is starting with the materialist view. At the outset, in the beginning, man lives in his physical mind. I remind you that there are three levels of the mind. There is a physical mind, there is a vital mind, And there is also a pure mind, or the logical mind, or the reasonable mind, the reason. But still you are in the body mind life only. You are not gone to the spiritual level. These three levels, okay, the body, the vital, and the mind, they are all mixed together. They are all involved in each other. So when the mind is involved in matter, it becomes a physical mind. What you call the manas, okay? It's called the manas. Then there is the chitta and the buddhi. The buddhi is the pure mind, okay? So, in fact, the word buddhi can also apply to the self also. It's a little flexible. But manas is very clear. Manas is the physical mind which interprets your senses and gives you the proof that physical world exists for you. Okay? That's what it says. So, at the outset, man lives in his physical mind only. Okay? At the outset, in the beginning, man, when he's not developed, maybe the savage, or even uses the word modern savage. For those who are very, very developed and they have an education also, but they are limited only to the physical world. Okay, so they are the Philistines. He uses the word Philistines for that. Modern barbarian, educated but limiting only to the physical world. So physical mind, which perceives the actual, physical, objective, that which is there, which is real outside yourself, okay? And accepts it as a fact, and this fact as self-evident truth, beyond question. The materialist has absolutely no doubt. Why materialist? Everybody. We feel that whatever is there, the buildings outside, the animals outside me, the food I am eating, everything that is outside me is real. Okay? I can touch it, I can smell it, I can see it, I can everything, I can even eat it. Whatever is not actual, not physical, not objective, it regards as unreal or unrealized. So he is giving you two. One you can think of, I can't see your thoughts, therefore they are unreal to me. Okay? I can't see your emotions, so they are unreal to me. But if I have a thought in my own mind and it has not yet become a fact, then it is unrealized. So Srenda is giving you both, okay? There is a gradation between the unreal and the unrealized. It has not yet become an objective fact. Okay, so only to be accepted as entirely real when it has succeeded in becoming actual, becoming physical fact, becoming objective. So, for instance, I want to write an essay, but I have not yet written it. It is not actual, it is not objective. But the moment I sit down and write it down on paper, it becomes actual, objective, and realized. So that is then it becomes a physical fact for me. Or if longer period also, I want to become an engineer, but it will take me 5 years. When that happens, then it's a physical fact. Okay. So many different types of realities. Fully real, half real, absolutely unreal. Depending on which level you are, it goes on changing. So, becoming objective, okay. Its own being too, it regards as an objective fact, okay. Its own being. My being is the body, my vital and my mind. It regards as an objective fact. The body I can see and I can feel it, touch it. Warranted to be real by its existence in a visible and sensible body. Sensible means subject to the senses. All my senses can experience the body. Then it is real. It is objective and real. All other subjective beings and things it accepts on the same evidence insofar as they become objects of our external consciousness or acceptable to that part of the reason which builds upon the data supplied by that consciousness and relies upon them as the one solid basis of knowledge. Now suppose somebody else has got a thought in his mind, it is unreal to me. But the moment he speaks it out in words, which I can hear and understand, then it becomes an objective fact. Now it is real. Okay. So that's what he's saying. It relies upon them as one solid basis of fact. Okay. Clear? it accepts on the same evidence insofar as it becomes object of our external consciousness. So long as the man is not expressing his emotions or his thoughts, they are unreal to us. They don't exist for us. But the moment he has put it into words which you have heard with your senses, with your ears, then it becomes a fact for you. Acceptable to that part of the reason. That part of the reason is the physical mind, remember, which builds upon the data supplied by that consciousness and relies upon them as a one solid basis of knowledge. Now, Srinath is using the word part of the reason because all physical data, when it comes to you, it is processed by the reason. The reason starts saying what is real, what is not real, it starts analyzing. So, even a very, very developed scientist, he can be a pakka materialist, but he is using his reason. He is analyzing the data that he has received. That's how he finds out that the sun is not moving up and down, but that sun is stationary and the earth is moving round and round. So that even the materialist can use reason to a certain extent, but still it relies upon them as a one solid base of knowledge. He also relies on the senses. Now, Srinath is saying physical science, okay? He is very carefully saying physical science because physics, chemistry, and biology and things like that, they are physical sciences. But there can be occult sciences, there can be psychological sciences, there can be sociology. There are so many sciences which are not physical. That's why he's saying physical science is a vast extension of this mentality. It starts becoming very, very wide and it slightly goes beyond the objective world also. Okay? Even the quantum theory is physical science, but it has almost gone beyond the objective world. So it is still science. So that's why I said the word vast extension. It is not limited only to matter. That's what it means. He's so accurate in his words so that you can't fault him in any way. Very, very accurate. It corrects the errors of the sense. That's exactly what it does when he analyzes the rising of the sun. Okay? Or for a long time they thought that the earth was flat. Okay? And they discovered that the earth need not be flat, it can be round. Columbus wanted to discover India and he went west and he discovered America instead. He didn't discover it, but he found that it is there already. This is where many people say that what is this discovery? It is always there. So it is for him, it's a discovery. Okay, so physical science is a vast extension of this mentality. It corrects the errors of the sense and pushes beyond the first limitations of the sense mind, the manas, sense mind, by discovering means of bringing facts and objects not seizable by our corporeal organs into the field of objectivity. A very good example is X-ray machines. Okay, so I can't see inside, but he by discovering means of bringing facts and objects not seizable by our corporeal organs into the field of objectivity. He has got the capacity to invent instruments which can look into those things which did not seem to be objective, but now it is objective. Okay, you have the same when you scan also something, you can't see the inside, but it is possible for man to do these things. That's what he's saying. So, infrared photography, ultra sound, okay, ultrasound also nowadays we see things inside the body, so which we don't see, but you have invented instruments by which you can see that. So that's really using the words. I'll skip it just 1 minute. So Srinath is saying pushes beyond the first limitation of sense mind by discovering means of bringing facts and objects not seeable by our corporeal organs. So the X-rays are a means of bringing these things. Okay, the telescope, which we can't see with the naked eye, because they don't, but the telescope can capture things which you don't see with the naked eye. So these are the means of bringing facts and objects, not seeable by our corporeal organs, into the field of objectivity. Now they become objective to us. But it has the same standard of reality, which is the objective. That which is not objective today can become objective tomorrow, but yet it is the same, the physical actuality. Its test of the real is possibility of verification by positive reason and objective evidence. This is the whole method of science. Experiment and repeatability and verification. Then only you know that it is absolutely, it's a real objective world. You must be able to repeat. And what is interesting is, Sridhar did exactly the same thing even in the subtle field. Okay? He says in one letter to Dilip Kumar Roy, I have experimented such an extent which very few people have done. Okay? I have, for instance, he is seeing that he has got a power. He will go on testing that power. Okay? His power of, I'll give you only one example. His power of Trikala Drishti. Okay? Only there were 2 or 3 people who came with him to Pondicherry in 1910. Okay? So, what happened? They were young boys. Okay? Nolita was 18 years old. They were all, and they used to go to play football. So he used to write down in his diary, Nolini and the others have gone to play football at 5:30. My Trikala Drishti is telling me that they will return at 6:25. Okay? And he notes down in the diary. And then he actually verifies whether they are coming at 6:25. And then he will either tick and say, yes, the Trikala Drishti was right. Therefore, it is a real power. But sometimes he used to say, oh, they have come at 6:26 or 6:24 and not 6:25. So then he will try to find why that thing has happened. Is it that my Trikala Drishti is wrong, or is it that I have looked at another watch? Maybe I have looked at another watch, or maybe the watch has slowed down. So thorough investigation. Okay, so this is what he says. So here also he's saying the same thing. Its test of the real is possibility of verification by positive reason. See how you can live. He is saying that it has to be verified. Even spiritual truths have to be verified by positive reason and objective evidence. Then you know that it is real. So this is the method, that's what he's saying. So even to the materialist, those things which are not absolutely real can become real by the discovery of instruments. Okay, as we said just now, ultrasound scanning and X-ray machines, these are all, they reveal the objective world which is not open to the senses. Okay. Ultraviolet and infrared are also physical world, but we don't see them. Okay. So this is the what he's saying about the physical science. So now he comes to the life mind, that means the vital mentality. One by one, he's seeing how the physical mind sees the physical world, how the vital mind sees the physical world, how the pure mind sees the physical world. He's seeing one by one. Okay, so we go to the next.
Shall I read?
Yeah, please. But man has a life mind.
But man also has a life. But man also has a life mind, a vital mentality, which is an instrument of desire. This is not satisfied with the actual. It is a dealer in possibilities. It has the passion for novelty and is seeking always to extend the limits of experience for the satisfaction of desire, for enjoyment, for an enlarged self-affirmation and aggrandizement of its terrain of power and profit. It desires, enjoys, possesses actualities, but it hunts also after unrealized possibilities, is ardent to materialize them, to possess and enjoy them also. It is not satisfied with the physical and objective only, but seeks to a subjective, an imaginative, a purely emotive satisfaction and pleasure. If there were not this factor, the physical mind of man left to itself
would live like the animal, accepting his first actual physical life, and it limits as his whole possibility, moving in material nature's established order and asking for nothing beyond it. But this vital mind, this unique white, unquiet life will comes in with its demands and disturbs this insert a routine satisfaction which leaves pen within the bounds of actuality. It enlarges always desire and craving, creates a dissatisfaction and unrest, a seeking for something more than what life seems able to give it. It brings about a vast enlargement of the field of physical actuality by the actualization of our unrealized possibilities, but also a constant demand for more and always more, a quest for new worlds to conquer, and in an incessant drive towards an exceeding of the bounds of circumstances and a self-exceeding. To add this cause of unrest and incertitude, there comes in a thinking mind that inquires into everything, questions everything, build up affirmations and unbuild them, erects systems of certitude, but finally accepts none of them as certain, affirms and questions the evidence of the senses, follows out the conclusion of the reason, but undoes them again to arrive at different or quite opposite conclusions, and continues indefinitely, if not ad infinitum. Infinitum. This process. This is the history of human thought and human endeavor. A constant breaking of bounds, only to move always in the same spirals and enlarge perhaps, but following the same or constantly similar curves of direction. The mind of humanity, ever seeking, ever active, never arrives at a firmly settled reality of life's aim and objects, or at a settled reality of its own certitude and convictions, as established foundation or firm formation of its idea of existence.
So he has come to the vital mind. Now the vital mind is very interesting. Okay? There is the what is its function? It desires. It wants things which are not objective. Okay? When I want to, for instance, eat something which is not there at home, then the vital mind hankers for it. Okay, it wants a sweet. Okay, it wants a meat or it wants a particular type of fruit. It is. This is what the so. This is what the difference between the vital mind in man and the vital mind in the animal. The vital mind in the animal has desires, it wants, but it limits itself only to the actual. Whatever is available in the physical world, it may be hankering or it may satisfy itself with that, but not mind, not man. Man's vital mentality starts imagining. This imagination is a very powerful tool and it is something that the animal does not have. Okay, it's a very powerful tool, imagination. It can become, that is what actually realizes itself in so many ways. You know? When you imagine something beyond what exists, you make new discoveries. That's how the mobile, the TV, the car, the aeroplane all came into existence because of the imagination of man. If the imagination was not there that I will do this, I should be able to do this, it's not possible. So in the animal, this imagination is not there. It limits itself only to the physical. So this is what Sandra is saying. But man also has a life mind. When he says life mind, he means a vital mind. Okay, the vital mentality. He has used both the words, which is an instrument of desire. It is mostly, it wants something which is not there. Okay, this is not satisfied with the actual, like the animal. The animal is satisfied with actual, but it wants to go beyond the actual. It wants to go into things which it has not yet got. This is not satisfied with the actual. It's a dealer in possibilities. When you are dealing in possibilities, it's the imagination. It has the passion for novelty and is seeking always to extend the limits of experience for the satisfaction of desire, for enjoyment, for an enlarged self-affirmation, for aggrandizement. Le agrandissement in French. Okay. Grand, aggrandize is to make bigger. Okay. To go on extending and making bigger. Aggrandizement of its terrain of power and profit. So, power and profit, if you are satisfied only with the actual world, it is something. But man wants to go beyond what he has and beyond what profit he has got. Okay? It's very interesting what is using the words power and profit. Man always wants more and more power, and he wants also more and more profit. However much he makes money, he wants more. This is the nature of the vital mind. It is never satisfied. Satisfaction is something that does not belong to the vital mind. There is no end to it. After you have got money, after you have got a house, after you have all, you want a yacht, you want a private plane. There is no end to it. Okay. So, it desires, enjoys, possesses actualities, but it hunts also for unrealized possibilities. Is ardent to materialize them, to possess and enjoy them also. Okay. So, as I said, if you have got enough money, you buy a house, but you're not satisfied with that. Now you want a car, you get a car. Then you want a private airplane. That's happening actually in the physical world. No? The other day I heard that our Ambani, okay, he has got a private plane. Not one, sometimes 2, 3. And that other fellow who was that, who is there in London now, he has got, I think, 15 or 20 cars. And there are people in America who own islands. They go and buy islands. There is no end to this desire. It reminds me of a very interesting thing. Okay, it reminds me of Amal Kiran. Amal Kiran asked Sri Aurobindo, I want a spiritual life, but there is this desire for sex in me. So, should I go and fulfill that sex and exhaust it and come back? Then I can do without this problem of the sex in me. So, Sri Aurobindo says, your solution is like pouring ghee on fire and wanting to extinguish it. Okay, so this is the nature of the vital mind. It never finds satisfaction. It wants more and more. Okay. Very interesting. This is how Sri Aurobindo describes it. This is the nature of the vital mind. Okay. So he goes on with the description. Let us see. It is not satisfied, okay, with the physical and objective only, but seeks to a subjective, an imaginative, a purely emotive satisfaction and pleasure. And this pleasure need not be physical. It can also be of the subjective. Okay? You want to, desires can also be very subtle and they can also be very sensitive and they can be higher. You can desire for music, for art. Okay? That also is a desire. You want more and more of it. Purely emotive satisfaction and pleasure. If there were not this factor is the vital mind, the physical mind of man left to itself would live like the animal. There you are very clear. If the animal has desire, but it desires only that which is objective and that which exists, not something that does not exist. Okay. Accepting his first actual physical life and its limits as his whole possibility, moving in material nature's established order and asking for nothing beyond it. So in other words, in sadhana, in yoga, vital mind is a terrible obstacle. But see how useful it is. It is allowing you to go from a lower level of physical mind to the vital mind. It is enlarging and helping you. It is making you more and more wide and more wanting more and more. The desire for wanting more and more is really the essence of the yoga. No? You want more and more. You want that which doesn't exist in the physical world. You want the divine. So the vital mind, in the beginning, hankering only for physical things, then non-physical things, and finally, if it is really purified, then the vital wants also the enjoyment of the divine. So it's a very useful thing. And this is something that is there. Everything that exists in the physical world, it's got a negative side and a positive side. So even the vital mind, which is such a huge problem in yoga, But it has got its positive aspect also, just like the ego also. But this vital mind, I'm reading the next sentence. But this vital mind, this unquiet life will, there you are. Unquiet. Why? Because when you don't get what you want, you are very unhappy. Okay? So it is the cause of all suffering. It is the vital mind that's the cause of suffering. Mental also to a certain extent, but mainly the vital that causes suffering. This unquiet life will comes in with its demands and disturbs this inert and routine satisfaction of the animal, okay, which lives penned within the bounds of actuality. The word pen is not a writing pen, but a pen is an enclosure where animals are kept. Okay? So that's it. So penned within means limited to a certain area. That's what it means here. Pen. Maybe you knew the meaning, but a pen is also that which is the horses or the cows or the goats, okay, they are all put into a pen with a border so that they can't go out of it. So this is the disturbs this inert and routine satisfaction, which lives penned within the bounds of actuality. The physical mind is only satisfied with the limitation of the physical actual. It enlarges always desire and craving. The vital mind is always enlarging desire and craving. There's no end to it. Creates a dissatisfaction, an unrest, a seeking for something more than what life seems able to give it. It brings about a vast enlargement of the field of physical actuality by the actualization of the unrealized possibilities. Now, this is exactly what has happened. If the desire and imagination were not there, you would not have invented the mobile, you would not have invented the computer, you would not have invented TV, you would not have invented the car, nor the aeroplane. But because you always want to go beyond the actual, these things become possible only because you have the vital mind. Okay? Of course, the mind also has got a role to play because it goes into the details and works out a solution. But the origin of all these things is the vital mind. Okay? What life seems able to give it brings about a vast enlargement of the field of physical actuality. You can see that, no? When you can travel by air, it's a vast enlargement of the field of physical actuality. Otherwise, you would have to walk or go by cycle or by car. But now you can actually fly. So, again, the computer has jumped. So, by actualizing. But also a constant demand for more and always more, a quest for new worlds to conquer, incessant drive towards an exceeding of the bounds of circumstance and a self-exceeding. Now, let's look at what he's saying. If this was not there, would man have tried to go to the moon? If the vital mind was not there, he would never make an effort. Okay, so it is so important. So, a quest for new worlds to conquer. Now we are thinking of going into the universe and finding out what is there. We are trying to even go to Mars. New worlds to conquer. An incessant drive towards an exceeding of the bounds of circumstance. Now, what are the bounds of circumstance? The laws of the physical world are the circumstances that you are limited to. But you want to go beyond them. Okay? And self-exceeding. You want to go beyond the physical world's rules. To add to this cause of unrest and uncertitude, there comes in a thinking mind, which is even more wanting the unknown. Okay? The mind of man is enlarging the scope of the vital mind and wants even more and more. It inquires into everything, questions everything, builds up affirmations and unbuilds them. It gets a theory, and then when it gets more data, it unbuilds that, okay, and erects a new system. Erects systems of certitude, but finally accepts none of them as certain. Affirms and questions the evidence of the senses, follows out the conclusion of the reason, but undoes them again to arrive at different or quite opposite conclusions and continues indefinitely, if not ad infinitum, the process. So ad infinitum, it will go on doing infinitely. But sometimes it may come to a situation where it is quite satisfied, so it stops. Continues indefinitely, if not ad infinitum. So this is the, if this vital mind was not there, the progress and the gradation to discover, make new discoveries would not have been there. This is what Sarve is saying. But when the mind comes in, it starts doubting, it starts questioning, it starts building theories and unbuilding them when it gets something better. This is the whole process of science. No? In everything, it is like that. No? When you discover something and then you go beyond it, it's also the same thing. You have, first of all, the animal has no morality. When man comes in, he establishes moral rules. But when he goes to the spiritual plane of consciousness, morality disappears. So it's a constant building and unbuilding. This is the history of human thought and human endeavor, a constant breaking of bounds, only to move always in the same spirals, enlarged perhaps, but following the same or constantly similar curves and direction. However much you go, he is still discussing the vital mind. So you are enlarging, but you are still in the physical world. The mind of humanity, ever seeking, ever active, never arrives at a firmly settled reality of life's aims and objects, or at a settled reality of its own certitudes and convictions. You can never be fully satisfied with your own theories so long as you are in the physical world of body, life and mind. Now, its own certitudes and convictions, an established foundation or firm foundation of this idea of existence. Okay, so this is what he's saying very clearly, that the vital mind enlarges but still remains bound to the physical world. So we'll do one thing. What he's saying about the vital mind, I will remember 3-4 minutes. So I'll just summarize what he's saying here. Okay. So, beyond the physical mind, man has a vital mind which is not satisfied with the present actual. It deals in possibilities. Those things which don't exist, it wants them. Wants novelty and adventure. Desires always more and more. If vital mind were not present in man, he would be like the animal, satisfied with his status quo, living life mechanically without change. The vital mind seeks, hunts, wants satisfaction, self-exceeding. It to add further unrest to the situation comes in the thinking mind that inquires, questions, builds and unbuilds, erects systems only to dismantle them later on. This affirmation of systems and rejection of them goes on ad infinitum because of the origin of the ignorance. We are starting from the inconscience, therefore our search will go on and on and on. There is no end to it. That's what he's saying. Okay? We have 3 minutes more, but we can stop here. So at a certain point of this constant unrest. Okay, so we'll do that next time. So we have done 2 paras, the physical mind and the vital mind. So shall we stop here today? Okay, au revoir everybody. Have a nice day.